You know the best way to get your team to trust you? By admitting you don't have all the answers. My name is Sharon Steed. I'm a keynote speaker, empathy consultant, and a person who stutters. And this is Quick Keynote. Let's talk about how to build credibility with vulnerability. One of the scariest parts about speaking isn't necessarily being on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people. It's not waiting in the wings before the talk. And it's honestly not even the possibility that I'll stutter, because I know I will, or that I might mess up, because the odds are that everybody messes up. It's after the talk. It's the one-on-one conversations. It's the fear of not knowing an answer. It's the anxiety of having spent an hour pouring my mind and heart on that stage and having a person I'm talking to after my talk just think that I might not be enough. Putting yourself out there is incredibly scary because it is an act of exposure, of vulnerability. However, that vulnerability, it builds credibility. Unfortunately, we don't always view it that way. We view vulnerability as a problem because our brains and our cultures equate emotional exposure with danger, with rejection, with weakness. Vulnerability invites risk, uncertainty, and a potential for pain. People might see us in a way that we haven't curated to perfection. And in those moments, we feel that we've lost the little control we have over what others think of us. However, it's in those moments of imperfection and exposure that something really special happens. You see, the entire time I spent on stages being so incredibly vulnerable, so wrapped up in fear and anxiety and worry, that when I got done with my talk, my instinct was to run. It was to hide, to protect myself, to get back some of the safety I felt I had lost. However, and here's where that really special thing happens, being vulnerable invites connection, and connection cultivates credibility. You need proof? I want you to think about the moments in your life that hold real meaning to you. Those people who you hold dear. What happened? There was vulnerability. And that vulnerability led to a real emotional connection. You developed a fondness and attachment to that person. And that fondness led you to believing what they said, to believing in what they were capable of. They were credible. And this pipeline of vulnerability to connection to credibility, you can make this happen. How do you do it? Especially at work, especially as a leader. Well, I want you to remember these three things. First, remember that pretending to have all the answers reads as performative and dishonest. You want to create an environment where it feels like you and your team are learning together, because you are. You see, you don't have all the answers. So instead of pretending that you do, use an opportunity to give someone else a platform when you just don't know something. Because each individual on your team has experiences and expertise that you don't have. And it's not because they're smarter than you. No, it's because their path is just different from yours. You may have ended up in the same place, in the same company, on the same team, in the same city, but you took completely different routes on your journey. Second, remember that owning your limits reads as incredibly sincere. And trust, that's built through sincerity. I've had people come up to me after talks and tell me incredibly personal things about themselves. These are things that they've never told anyone else. And that's not because I got up on stage and I pretended to have all the answers. Not at all. It's because I was willing to be open about what I felt I lacked. And finally, remember that being vulnerable humanizes you. And when leaders are open and truthful and authentic with their teams, their teams in turn, your team, will feel more comfortable being open and truthful and authentic with each other, with you. And the result here is that you'll receive more valuable input from your teams because they respect you, because they trust you, because you showed them your humanity, because you were vulnerable.